He almost tasted that. Num 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 num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest. You ain't never gotta heat me up.
Oh, you are way more fun than my last lawyer.
I will kill for you, Megan Thee Stallion.
Dial it back.
Yada 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 yada.
Dial it back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for another episode of She-Hulk. I think maybe the most fun episode of She-Hulk. I think this is the one that actually, in my opinion, this is the tone of the show. Like it doesn't take itself serious. I think it's just a fun show. It's cheeky humor. It just rests on what it is. I mean, Roy, I'm sorry. Before I go too much into it, what did you think?
Well, I agree with you. The standard question about this episode is: did it make you laugh? Was it funny? And it did. It actually legitimately made me laugh. This
This was
a little more cute, I guess, than like slapping my knee.
Right.
It's not stand-up comedy or whatever.
No.
But it is funny. I legitimately all of the Tim Roth and Wong stuff, and then
that was it. Yes,
the MCU stuff at the beginning also made me laugh. But I think I was the target audience for that.
And the stuff with Bukowski, I thought was like at the when Jen was asked to be his witness. Mm-hmm. That stuff was genuinely funny to me because I have met some people who.
I mean, it was a good I think this was a good episode. Was a good use of let's leverage a bunch of random stuff from the MCU to make a lawyer show, right? Like it's like, oh, so you have this elf from New Asgard who's going around being a shape-changing elf from Asgard. Like, what else would they do, right? Like,
right.
And you paid Megan Thee Stallion, Megan Thee Stallion money to come on your show. Like,
listen, I enjoyed that little cameo, and it's for the life of me, it's the craziest thing. It's the one thing that been setting people off. I'm reading like my timeline, and people are upset, and it makes me think. If you go back to Iron Man, the first Iron Man, it's like he's sleeping with Hollywood access journalists, right? This is something that's been in the MCU, isn't it? Right. Pop culture and the MCU have been a thing since the very start of the MCU timeline. And it's funny, right? Because this is the one time that I think, outside of the MCU stuff, this is the one time that I think, fans and people are just like going crazy because they don't, they might not be the target audience anymore.
Yeah, that is great. That's an A+ meme though. It's but I don't know. It's like I've been thinking about this a lot. Well, because I forget what I was reading. I was reading some nonsense, some gamer stuff. It's like gamers, fanboys, they are the people you should least listen to about what they want because they don't know what they want. They claim they know what they want, or they know what the real version. Like, this is just the Dan Slott and John Byrne stuff, but put on live action. If John Byrne would have had Madonna appear in an issue of She-Hulk in the 80s, right? Or Dan Slott would have, I don't know, who was a big female pop star in the early 2000s. Rihanna. Well, Rihanna's not the early 2000s, is she?
Yeah, no. She's like mid to late 2000s. Destiny's Child.
There we go. Beyonce. Oh my God, why were you not even would have Beyonce, right?
I would say Beyonce. I think the group, and then Beyonce, mid to late 2000s.
Yeah. Like, all of those people would have appeared if they could have in an issue. We had Barack Obama appear in a Spider-Man issue.
Right. Oh, I remember that. That was that.
This is all
politics out of our conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm not even just talking about politics. I'm just talking about celebrities.
No. I think that was what I remember. That was kind of.
But it's come on. Do you but people like the real She-Hulk? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, the most classic She-Hulk stories that aren't her and the Avengers, or her and the Fantastic Four, are all like this, are all fourth wall bending. And all trying to be funny, and sometimes funny and sometimes cute, and sometimes really,
and sometimes not so much. But I thought this episode hit at least the notes it was going for. with Wong being, I think the thing that made me laugh, or the thing that made me go haha, was like when it's the hearing, and she's like trying to stall for time, and she goes, how does someone who has no time, like who
has no commute,
no traffic time or no commute, be late to anything? And that's kind of funny because Wong could be dealing with anything at any moment as the Sorcerer Supreme, right? And that's in the back of my mind while I'm watching, but it did make me kind of like, do you know who you're talking about? And like, because she kind of doesn't. She doesn't.
No.
She's just thrust into this thing, right? And so she'll make comments like that, like, how is it that someone has no commute? Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme, and if she was into the world, maybe she'd understand a little bit more and would have, but like, and then the thing about Emil, like, it's so funny to me that Emil Blonsky started a yoga.
Like, that was really funny. Like, that sequence was very funny.
Like,
and
Emil, like, again, this is why I said after last week's She-Hulk episode, I had to watch what was it? I had to go back and watch Incredible Hulk, right? Because when you meet that character in that phase of his life, and you get to this point of his life, two different characters, but it shows growth.
Or does it? We'll find out, right? Like,
I hope it's growth. I think it's great character development, and it's funny.
It's funny. It is funny. Like, again, I think it's very funny. Also, Wong lying is also very funny.
Very much, yes.
Like, it's just like, because
when you meet him in Doctor Strange, right? Especially Multiverse of Madness, and now it's like, wait a minute, what? But I like it. I liked all of the characters. I like the balance, with the humor and kind of seriousness. Because let's be real, this was a very serious thing, right? The hearing for Emil Blonsky. It was a very serious thing, but it was balanced very well with him also providing marital advice.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
Prison Kombucha was also very funny.
They're not making wine anymore.
It's just like, that's a good joke. Like,
it is. And I think the show is kind of settling into what it's supposed to be. The first two episodes, yes, but this one, I think it's finally getting its, like, we are a law show that is also a superhero show, but we're a comedy show. And it might not be slapstick, knee slap, or funny, but we have funny moments. Mm-hmm. And this was the first time I think all three elements blended together really well.
I agree.
I think the best moment for me was when Emil goes, oh, like the guy, one of the guys, one of the people here in the hearing goes, how are we sure he's not going to become the terrible abomination anymore? And he goes, you know what? I'll show you something. Takes off his little Crocs. I'm sorry, the white Crocs. How is that not funny to you? Like, this is
he protects them too. He like moves them out of the way.
Like, of all the things he cares about, he's like, my clothes, whatever. But you know what? These Crocs, because I feel like those Crocs are and them being white, and his brides or his love interest wearing all white,
soulmates.
I'm sorry. It goes into his cult thing, right? Like, it just does. He takes the cross, and then he becomes the abomination, and everyone is freaking out. And if you took 2 seconds, right? I'm talking to the people on the show, but it's supposed to be funny. But if they all took 2 seconds to actually pay attention, he wasn't doing anything crazy. He was just trying to show that he could be the abomination when, he could choose to be the abomination. I think another thing that I don't know if you paid attention to this, when I think she was someone said the only way, if he couldn't be the abomination anymore or something. I forget who they were talking about in the moment. What do you think came from that? Was it the fact that, you're gonna have to wear an inhibitor collar?
The inhibitor came from it came from the elf, him wishing that the elf would lose his powers.
Yeah, okay.
Their powers.
Yeah. Oh no, the elf was funny.
The elf was funny.
When she came out of the office thing, I like to assault women.
Well, I thought the judge, like, Thor's inspirational speeches don't count in.
Yo,
Asgard is a people, not a place. I was like, that is
because in Thor Ragnarok, that is a thing, right? It's
Yeah.
a thing. It's and then even in Love and Thunder, it's a thing. Like Asgard is this thing now, right? And then trying to use that in the court,
it's just like
it failed so hard.
It's just a funny. It's just, I mean, it's a lot. Like, I also think people are like, this hates the MCU. It's like, I don't know how you can watch this show and be like, these people did not watch all of these movies, like, and TV shows, like, because there's just like a lot of good references, including the line there. Like, Wong's LinkedIn is A+, A+. All right, Wong, being like former sorcerer supreme and former
librarian. What was his librarian at Comitage?
Comitage,
right?
Comitage is nice this time of year.
Sorcerer Supreme in New York. Like what? And all of us, it's the
Target
house,
associate,
right?
Comitage. It's just like, and if anyone says that wrecking crew were used poorly in this episode,
yes.
it's like the wrecking crew people. The wrecking crew, like, did we read the same comics growing up? I'm sorry, the wrecking crew were always a joke. Like,
forget about the comics. There's a Spider-Man animated show. I don't know if it's not Spectacular Spider-Man. It's the one that came right after that, right? I think that one is on Disney Plus.
The one that he's like, where he's the Avengers are like his mentor.
Yes, yes. The wrecking crew on that show is a joke. So again, I would turn the question on its head and ask anyone, because I've seen people, the wrecking crew did not look as badass. Their suits are not da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, dude, like, are we just complaining to complain at this point? I think that's what it is. People are complaining to complain because there's no way you know the history of the wrecking crew and say that in with boldface just say it, because the wrecking crew is a joke. They're not a serious, like, of all the villains for you to like want to
die on the hill with,
right? It's the wrecking crew.
Like, it's not even like Absorbing Man wasn't even there. Like, so like the most interesting person, the two most interesting people, the wrecking crew, are not in that fight,
right?
And we know we're gonna get one of them later. She appeared in an earlier episode and got her ass kicked. Like,
I feel like her name, Titania, is where is she from? Is she like a Doom henchman? She is.
She's like, isn't she like a? It's been a long time since, because no one uses them because they're terrible. Right. I think she's washed up as Guardian in the comics.
Interesting.
I could be wrong. That is truly testing my ability. I have not.
You know what? While you're thinking about it, I'm just going
to look. I mean, I'm sorry. Also, the line was, "What did you rob, an Asgardian construction worker?" And he said, "Yes." I was like,
like, why would you even admit to that in any way, shape, or form? Like, why would you ever do that?
I mean,
this is the wrecking crew, man.
People are no goofier. Like, the wrecking crew was no goofier than the Shocker versus Spider-Man in Homecoming. All right, where they are trying to sell Donald Glover the weaponry. Like, that scene is just as goofy as this. Like, right. And nobody was flipping out about that. Like,
right. Or I think the same people, if you didn't complain about Baron Zemo in Falcon Winter, if you thought that was amazing, right? Him doing the dance in the club, like, that became a meme for the life of me. That became a meme. But
it was funny. It was legitimately funny. I enjoyed it.
But this is where you draw the MCU's becoming a joke. Really? Star-Lord did a dance off at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, but that but that was art, man. That was by an artiste. All right, James Gunn.
Okay, was that what we like Chris Pratt? Because after that, like,
that was one of the good Chris's.
Okay, because
that was pre-divorce Chris Pratt.
Right, because after that, Star-Lord's stock just dropped. Once we got him in Infinity War, everyone hated him for some reason.
I mean, Infinity War, like, the character does like mess up royally. Like, whether or not Chris Pratt,
it's a comic book movie. If we're being real, if they won right there, we're not getting Endgame. If they stopped them right, I
think it's legitimate. Like, if there was a good character moment, but like,
yes,
people are allowed to be angry at Star-Lord.
Oh my God, people were. No, that is the. I feel like people genuinely hate Chris Pratt for that.
No, people genuinely.
No. I know they dislike him because Hillsong and his wife and I think his child, right?
His child, yeah, marrying Schwarzenegger. All the like that.
There's a lot of reasons to hate Chris Pratt, but I feel like there's genuine hate for the person Chris Pratt because of the Star-Lord thing.
Okay.
Like,
I haven't encountered people who said that, but those people.
oh no. I listen. My Twitter timeline is a mix. It's a
You
hot
got to
mess.
get better follows.
I really do. I need to clean it up because I've seen people complain. Like on my timeline, I saw like I legitimately with my eyes, of course. What else would I see it with? People complaining about the Wrecking Crew, and that I think that was the one that set me to a tailspin of like trying to figure out like and then it took me back to the Spider-Man show where Nick Fury, and yeah, that's the one where he's mostly on the he's with what's his name, Nova,
Right.
Luke
He's like a
Cage.
junior Avenger, right? Like
yes.
yeah.
There's
My
like
friend
young
watched it with his
Nova,
kid.
young Luke Cage, all of those guys. I watched that, and then when you see the Wrecking Crew on that show, yes, they look beefy and the costumes or whatever, but they are the worst villains on that show. So I'm not gonna.
I mean, it's the Wrecking Crew. Like the Wrecking Crew. No, I was about to throw some real shade at them. All right,
No,
but
go ahead.
all right, well, they were crappy enough that Marvel let Agents of Shield use them. Like
Yes.
that is how like
that is
low
legit
tier.
shade. Exactly, super
Like,
low tier. I do wonder if that's
you should
the
be happy
same-
the Wrecking Crew is in a Marvel property.
right.
Like this is like your little meme thing. The Wreck. I would have Tony Stark kidnapped by not Al Qaeda. The Wrecking Crew appears in a Marvel thing, right? Like that. There's like who was like no one was. Nobody was like clamoring. I mean, apparently some people on Twitter were clamoring, right, for the
A
Wrecking Crew. I don't
badass
know.
version of the Wrecking Crew with all their suits and beefed up muscle guys. No, first of all, Marvel is trying to. This is a maybe $20 million budget episode, right? Most of it is going to
Megan Thee Stallion.
She-Hulk CG and Megan Thee Stallion. They're not spending money on the Wrecking
All right,
Crew.
look. The only criticism I can have of this
shading the
episode
Wrecking Crew this bad. This is so not fair.
is they concentrated their I mean, there's a moment that's like the Boffins thing. It's like millions of VX artists were sniffed out instantly for the CG in this episode, which was not very good. Like this is easily the worst CG. I mean, Abomination was okay, but again, they had the movie Shang-Chi. Like She-Hulk herself did not look great in many scenes in this episode.
No.
Except for the twerking. So they clearly concentrated.
Look, Megan was like, if we're gonna add this, if we're gonna have me here, she gotta look good. But no, when she walked into the office, I think the first time she walks into the office, I was like, nah. But you know what? The show, episode was good enough.
Bother me.
It didn't take anything out. Like I enjoyed the episode. It didn't take anything away from me, right? Like my excitement for the episode. I feel like yes, we've seen better CG like in the first episode. I think obviously you have Bruce there, so they're gonna they was like, okay, all of every available VFX artist we have is working on the first episode and maybe the second, because that's the current shit happens on the second episode, and after that, you guys can take a day off.
Well, some VX artist was like, you know what? I have to crunch now, but at least I'm crunching on She-Hulk's ass and like twerking. Because I thought you'd be doing this via FaceTime from Horny Jail, like because this was like
I have a meme and I want to post it, but I'm not going to because reasons. But there's a meme that exists and the caption that goes along with that meme.
This is, I mean, like
I will go to the chat.
I think that this show it's a strange show, like in tone, right? Because like it is designed to serve, I think, specific audiences. I think certain types of like Marvel fans, particularly Marvel fans who are really interested in these like newer female characters. Like this is a show that's cultivating like a strong like She-Hulk's the center of it, and she really is, and like it's playing with some feminist themes in the background here. Sometimes second episode more explicitly. This one was a little bit more in the background. Yeah. But also, like, this is the most explicitly horny Marvel property of all time. Like, not implicitly, like, Chris Hemsworth showering in Thor 2 for no reason. Like, that was, like, horny. But it was, like, the movie itself was not horny. This show is just horny. We're going to get a dating episode, apparently. So, like, it's, like, impressive.
And I still don't feel like they've gotten into their horny, like, the... Because first of all, this character is horny, okay? This character is horny. I mean, Spider-Man. Wait, has she been with Spider-Man? Yes, older Spider-Man, right? Older Peter Parker.
I have no idea. Probably. I
I'm
mean,
there's she has a history. All right, I'm not.
yeah,
We're
for
not.
better and for worse. Some of the
Yes.
use of her has not. Oh, I shouldn't.
Listen,
Some of the times in which she's been depicted. I apologize the way you said in relationships has not been
has not. Yes,
progressive.
been great.
One might
Right?
say.
No, of course not. And some of the time she's been drawn. It's like she's not Power Girl levels yet. I don't
I
think
mean,
I don't
some
think
She-Hulk stories
anybody
are definitely appeal.
really.
I mean, there's times where she's been smashed, her like, and it's like, okay,
Is it like Wonder Woman? Like
yeah, like Wonder
early
Woman,
Wonder. Okay,
yeah, not like '90s Wonder Woman.
okay, 90s. Cause no, like this character. Like again, there was a reason why I wanted to watch this show, and that's all I'm gonna say.
You got half, you got some of it this episode, Bo.
If no, I did 20 seconds worth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that I'm just glad the show exists because it's just goofy and it's
It's a
fun.
nice break, though. To be
Yes.
honest, it's a nice break from like what I mean. This and Miss Marvel have been like the breathers because we've gotten what we got. Loki, then we got WandaVision, which was like heavy.
I
Once
mean,
it
Moon
got
Knight
to
was even heavier. Like,
Moon Knight was heavy. Like all of those, like oh man. And for better or for worse, this is just like okay.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a nice breather. A horny breather, but a nice breather.
hey, that's part of the nice. I mean,
Right.
we're also in a heavy time right now for pop culture. Right? We got House of the
Yes.
Dragon, that's heavy stuff.
Oh my
We've
God,
got
yes.
Andor, which is going to be
Heavy.
very serious, and then
Right.
we have tomorrow we have Lord of the Rings, right?
Lord of the
So
Rings, yeah.
that's
So,
all like heavy stuff. And honestly, I'll be honest, every week of all those things, you say, Roy, if you could give me like, what are you going to watch first? I'm going to watch She-Hulk first. Like I
Yes.
just like
because it's like funny enough, right? I usually save my like light shows for the end because like I'm just like let me spend all my emotional energy and just let me get some of it back. So I will save She-Hulk for the end of it. But I am glad She-Hulk is in the middle of the week because it breaks up our week because we
It
start
does.
off with House of Dragon, then
soon.
by the time Andor comes, She-Hulk should be in
It's
the
about to
middle,
end, I
about
think.
to end. Right.
Is
So
it 10
if
episodes,
yes.
No, there's still like 4 episodes, right? Because
Yeah, so
one episode
before
three.
it ends, we have Andor, House of Dragons, Andor, She-Hulk.
And then
Why did I do that? And then we go back into the heavy. So I like that it's in the middle of the week, breaks up all that, all the hefty, shows. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to probably love. Again, I'm liking Game of Thrones. I'm gonna love. I call it Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. I'm gonna love
It's Game of
Andor.
Thrones,
I feel like I'm gonna love Andor, and I'm still gonna love Lord of the Rings. But like, it just helps that we don't have to keep talking about super heavy, like, oh my god, pretentious shit sometimes.
Yeah,
Granted,
I mean, we are in it like truly. This fall is full of the most pretentious genre stuff in the world. You do not get much more pretentious than a Game of Thrones spinoff and Tolkien. And you know what? Andor looks like it wants to say big things. I'm not insulting this. Like I am almost certainly going to love Andor. Like I have
right.
All the trailers make it seem like good.
Right.
I will have feelings about Lord of the Rings. Who knows what it'll be? But I'm gonna watch it, just like Game of Thrones. But it's gonna be heavy and pretentious. Like even if you love it, it's gonna be pretentious.
Like if we're being very real, a lot of that stuff, especially with the Game of Thrones stuff, like, and then I know for a fact, for sure, Rings of Power will be very like overly like, oh my god, look at me, Rings of Power. Oh, I'm serious. I feel like that's what we're gonna get from that. Like it's a Tolkien
that's in
show,
spirit of the original movies. So like.
Right. So it does feel good to have a She-Hulk type of show. And this episode, again, this was like the most happy episode. Like, again, granted, this is not Miss Marvel that just elicited until the middle parts of it that elicited joy, right? There was a certain joy from Miss Marvel. This is just hey, have fun, type of show. Like Miss Marvel was just joyful, but this is just we don't care. Like this show, I feel tells me, we don't care to save the world. we just want to like have fun, like.
Yeah.
Well, because Miss Marvel at some point was like, "Oh, save the world," but this just, and I hope, I know it's not gonna happen, but I hope, right? It's a little glimmer of hope that there's no save the world in the show.
I don't think
I
there's gonna
know.
be any save the world. I don't think there's gonna be any save the world. But
Okay,
I think
good.
there's gonna be some fight, like something with the stakes
If
is
it's
gonna
like-
get raised. Like,
But
that's a
I don't
fight.
want it. Again, I fine raise the stakes, but don't make it like if you don't defeat this person, the whole world is no. Don't do that.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
We have we have so much of that. We have so much of that, and I think She-Hulk is a perfect character to do with because unless she's with the Avengers, right? She's always dealing with like small stuff,
Yeah.
like local stuff, you know. And then the Daredevil episode is going to happen. So
I think we get more Wong before we.
I was going to ask you. So, if you had to call it right, what level of is Wong going to be the raise the stakes? Is that where the raise the stakes are going to come from?
No, I don't think so.
It's going to be a lot more like levity.
I think it's gonna be levity because one, Benedict Wong is a very good comedic actor.
He is
So,
fantastic.
Boom. That's where his background was before he was cast as the character Wong. He did British.
He was also Genghis Khan.
Oh, that's right, he was. But I saw him in like some British like.
That's where I know him from. So I've always known him to be like serious. So even then he was a little funny.
Yeah, I mean he's a good comedic actor. He's very funny, I think, in both Doctor Strange movies and Avengers. And of course, No Way Home, which did get called out in this episode, which was
yes, it did. Plan B.
What I just like is like she's kind of like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm not gonna erase everyone's memories again.
Again, I love how Jen is like the one Marvel character that's like, what have you guys been dealing with? Like, what? You know, outside of what she knows from her brother, her cousin, she knows zero. And I love it because it just means that I feel like we're not getting any save the world, anything in this. I mean, have hopes.
There's gonna be something that's like not world ending, but it's gonna be
Skybeam.
Something I think closer on the scale of not that like whatever that was with the clandestine, more closer to like the last episode of Miss Marvel, where it's like a big threat but local.
Right.
To LA. Right. Like there's gonna be some threat to like LA that she has to do something with, right? Versus like a beam of light that somebody walks at and gets disintegrated and the beam of light goes away. Whatever happened with that clandestine, which I still do not understand.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. I've erased that episode from my mind.
But I think we're gonna get some more Wong in the immediate future. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, he is a criminal now, right? Because he was told.
I have to
go. You aided someone escaping, and it's funny because when you hear his reasoning for why he did it.
Do you think he's telling the truth? I don't think he's telling the truth because it doesn't line up with what they say to each other in Shang-Chi.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And that's again, see, now I have to go back and watch Shang-Chi just for that, right? Like She-Hulk has done that twice. This is his only Marvel show that's made me go, I have to go catch that reference again. But yeah.
Comics, there's literally a joke about Jen's original origin in this.
Yes.
Yes,
I thought that was amazing.
And it's like rejected by the Avengers. Like I just think it's fun. Like, I mean, you know, like I think to go back to your earlier point, I think there's this like hypocrisy of fanboys about this kind of stuff where like levity in certain situations, you know, when James Gunn does it, and no one can tell me that the dance-off scene at the end of the original Guardians of the Galaxy is high art. Like if you like come on. Like I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I saw it 4 times in theaters. All right. I was in the one of the most depressed in my life. I was like, I'm gonna do something to myself if I don't go somewhere and do something fun. Why don't you go see fucking Guardians?
Happened.
Like I like that movie, right? Like,
thank God for Guardians.
Yeah, thank God for Guardians. I'm being 100% serious. But no one's gonna say that that's high art at the end of that movie. That's fine. But twerking with Megan Thee Stallion and the post-credit scene of the episode is that's
the craziest part for me. I've seen a thread dedicated to that. This had nothing to do. Matter of fact, The entire case of Megan Thee Stallion had zero to do with this episode, except for that one line that Bukowski says, where he goes, "I just wish there was a way to take away her powers forever." Do you understand how little, even up to the point where She-Hulk, Jen says, when she breaks the fourth wall, when I forget his name, comes into when they're at the bar, and she goes, "Oh, so we're joining the A and B stories." Like literally, those two, like the main episode, right? The main story and the B, usually A and B story would intertwine at some point. This had, except for that line, nothing. And it did not affect the way the episode went. It didn't affect anything. It was its own story. And I've seen a thread dedicated to that moment. You cannot tell me that people aren't like, I don't understand when we became so hyper serious. Like, when do we grow up and forget to have fun in life?
Jokes about the 15th joke about Footloose and Patrick Swayze being the great hero of Earth. That's fine. That's fine. All right. That's okay. We're all right with it. That's good. That's fine. But a joke about Megan Thee Stallion is too much. That's a line too much. Like when Patrick Swayze shows up in the Guardians of the Galaxy. No, not the third one. It's gonna be in the holiday special. I'm gonna bet. I'm gonna call my shot here. When Patrick Swayze is in that, and there's the quartering video or whatever MCU about like that's too much. That why are they bringing this pop culture? It's like you're full of it. You're a misogynist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You gotta get some perspective, my friend.
You hate women having fun.
Have fun.
Because like I seen another one that said, okay, this was someone trying to debate why the dance off. No. So someone put three videos together, right? The dance off, Zemo, and the twerk, and someone in the comments eloquently said, I promise you said, 2 are actual dancing and 1 is objectification. Didn't say which, right? And then I'm just reading people dunk on him in the comments like, okay.
It's the Zemo one, right? That's objectification, right? Because I got turned on watching the Zemo one.
No, it's Chris Pratt gyrating.
Okay. That works.
That's what he was doing. Look at that. You thought it was the Zemo one that was objectification. But do you see that? Like, just people that made me happy because everyone was dunking on him. Like, did you think you did something here? But like, it's so funny. It's so funny, right? Oh, so I was gonna make a point, but then I forgot it because this was funny. But like the show. Okay, back to the show because I just. Okay. But we haven't told. No. This was the best part of the episode for me. This was the part that I was like, okay, you got me. Was when they were going through YouTube. Okay.
The comments. Yes,
through YouTube, and the one guy was like, how dare she, right?
Yes.
When you not only do you take the Hawk's power, but you give it to a woman, make your own. That killed me. I'm like, I know they're looking at comments in real life. Like they have to.
They don't even need to look. You could they wrote that 2 years ago, Mo. They wrote that 2 years ago. All right. Because they didn't even need to, and that's not even actualizing. That's just literally like here's the thing though. You cannot like this show. That's fine. Like you don't find it funny, cool. You're like, this isn't for you, awesome. But to pretend that this is like the dead end of the MCU, that's the part I object to. That's the part where I'm like, you gotta rethink your priors, my friends.
Right.
Because come on. I've watched all these movies multiple times, except for Incredible Hulk. And all of them have this stuff in them. Now, you may not like the specific mix of this or the CG isn't good enough for you, but if you watched a whole season of The Flash, Arrow, or especially any of that Alien crossover they did, and you're like, no, the CG here, CG here is too much for me. I could take those terrible, what were they called? They're from the villains from Millennium, whatever they're called in that time the aliens invade the Arrowverse. What are those aliens called? It's gonna escape me. But they're the villains in Millennium in the comics. But anyway, if you took that crossover and were like on, Reddit being like, this is the best superhero crossover of all time, and this is too much for you, rethink your priors.
Facts.
Rethink your priors. Because like, come on,
Oh man.
come on. But you're how can you not like this? Like you know, it's okay. Not everything is gonna. The what? The Dominators. Dominators.
That is no.
No. Like
that was no.
So
no.
Savitar, come on.
Right. You like Savitar. I think I gave up on Arrow after on the Flash. Was it the season after Savitar when they
was that season like where his daughter shows up at the end? Because that was the last season.
Yes, they do another speedster villain. It was like speedster villain and speed. Because you know what it was about the Flash is they blew their load with half of his rogues gallery in the first season. Right, you had Weather Wizard in the first couple episodes. Then you had then you took the Fire and Ice guys. You took them to Legends. Then you did Mirror Master was done, and you in the first season and a half, you're like, no, we're gonna use all his like a good chunk of his rogues, right? And now you're left with all the speedster rogues who should be like, who aren't like major villains, but now you have to make them major villains. You have the right to make them major villains, and then you did Reverse Flash 4 times.
4? Was it only 4?
Okay, you just kept using Reverse Flash, and then you use Reverse Flash as a villain in Legends. Like that's how. Listen.
But anyway, you put up with all of that. Like I'm saying, you and we're fanboys here.
You put up with that, and this is where you draw the line. You are pretentious. I'm sorry, I don't have a problem with calling people pretentious because that's what you are. If you think this isn't all like it has to all be cinema. If you sit there and you watch Man of Steel, BVS Ultimate Edition, Justice League, and Justice League. And Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad.
We can throw the Suicide Squad in there because it also deserves to be in there too.
Right.
This discussion.
And Wonder Woman 84.
Even Wonder Woman.
And you sit down and watch all of that, and that's high art to you at some point in your life. Yeah, get out my face. Get out my face. Like I don't want to hear anything. First of all, if you watch Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League, you have nothing to say to me in terms of your taste.
Yeah.
So yeah, She-Hulk, like people looking at She-Hulk and this is the doom. Yeah. If you want to make an argument, any kind of argument, we've already talked about this. It didn't deter from the episode, but if you do want to make an argument, CG. I'll give you that. I will give you that.
I'll be the first to admit CG's wonky at best.
On every episode, the first fight, oof, it was a little rough. The second episode, maybe, right? This one was a huge offender. I will give you that. Maybe not in the post-credit scene, but it's a huge offender in the middle of the episode. I will give you that. Abomination looked fine though, which is kind of crazy, right?
But they spent Shang-Chi money to develop, just like Bruce looked fine.
Right.
Like it's because they spent the Shang-Chi money to do the previs. Like,
listen, all the entire $20 million for the episode.
Like I just feel like there's a part of me that just wishes that like Jen had appeared as a lawyer in No Way Home instead of, as much as I love Matt, right?
Oh yeah, she would get all the monies.
It would
every episode would look great, or if she was Oscar Isaac, right? If it wasn't Tatiana, it was Oscar Isaac because they spent a lot of money making sure Moon Knight.
Well, and they also clearly spent a lot of money on this show. Like it doesn't like the problem with this is like it doesn't look cheap in the sense that like they didn't spend money. It just looks like they decided to make a show about She-Hulk and not just paint her green. Like once they're like, oh no, we are gonna do a full-time Hulk on a TV show, and we still have to be answerable to Disney Plus's investors.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's gonna look like this. Like
so, wait, would you have been okay if she was painted green?
No, I mean, what it looks
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but like
it would look like the Incredible Hulk TV show.
Yes, it would.
You know what I'm talking about.
I mean, that's the options. What's the other option, Mo? Like, she's a Hulk. You either paint her green or you
what's her name? Gina Carano. That would be
Maybe that could have happened if she hadn't
That would be
shown her
right.
transphobic ass all over the place.
That would be her re-entering into Disney, right? It's through She-Hulk.
No. Anyway, she's too busy right now making right-wing propaganda movies.
Yes,
with that guy who is guy.
is.
It was truly heartbreaking. Like the guy who played the sergeant on Lewis, one of my favorite British detective shows, is playing Hunter Biden in that movie, and I'm just like, no. I mean, he's a crazy right-wing loon now, so it's not surprising. But I'm just like, why are all of our faves so problematic?
Oh, Gina's never been my fave, so that's funny.
I didn't like
my son Hunter. That's just so fucking hilarious.
Yes. But anyway, like it's just baked into the premise here. Like, what do you like? Every time I'm like, that's a little wonky. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm just watching a TV show about She-Hulk. Like, well,
right.
Disney is not going to spend, well, one, literally the careers and lives of Disney has just destroyed people's lives with visual effects the last 2 years.
Yes,
inarguably.
You've heard.
Inarguably. And like so much to the point that even Disney now is like, we're going to change our practices. Good.
Well, are you going to slow down though?
No, of course.
Yeah. So what are you really going to change?
I mean, maybe they'll start doing more practical effects. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I'm okay.
Well, the thing is, like, apparently Marvel likes to change stuff at the last minute. That
is
that's their big, like, that's the thing that really gets from my, like, obviously, like, the schedule is really bad, but like a lot of them are like, we're throwing away 3 months worth of work because you decided that the Avengers need to have white armor instead of black armor, and like the movie's got to come out in 2 months. Like,
right?
Okay. All right, well, I guess that's what we're doing because we were like, F you, Disney, our studio closes.
Right.
So, like, I am willing to accept terrible CG.
Yes, that's the only argument at this at this point in this third episode. That's the only argument I'm accepting. And if you had look, and there are arguments that I hear that make me think that this person is not as intelligent as they sound. Obviously, so but no, I enjoyed this episode.
I enjoyed this. I think I'm sure came across that we enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, right. Hopefully they lean into the horny more, but whatever.
There's a whole dating episode coming, like, because the stuff with her on Tinder and stuff that's in the trailer.
Right.
They made a Tinder account for She-Hulk that tells you to watch She-Hulk.
I also need to have the episode where she picks up the guy. I need that to be in an episode. So please.
All right, where's the hose? Like,
oh, my water bottle was empty.
Oh, the thirst is real. I mean, there was also a good thirst trap joke. Her friend, who I've been a little iffy on. Right. I think she was better in this episode. But her being like, I posted a great thirst trap with a book. It's just that's a good joke.
To get one to answer your message. But it's funny though. We in the last episode we're like, man, are we ever gonna see those side characters, her friend, and then the other guy, right? He got something to do.
He was good. He was fine. I mean that just supporting character.
Yeah, all the supporting characters had stuff to do, and I liked seeing them. So ultimately, this was a good episode. She-Hulk still has, for me, a lot to do to really win me over, but this episode was the start of it. Again, if we were talking about the first 2 episodes, I believe the general consensus was it has the bones, right, of a good Marvel, of a good show. It's definitely not Boston Legal, definitely not.
But it has Boston Legal, it's trying to get to that the structure of this episode was no different than a Boston Legal episode.
What is funny though, right? Speaking of Boston Legal, wasn't that the one with James Spader?
It was. He was also in the last couple seasons of The Practice.
Right, who ends up playing Ultron.
It's true, he does. I mean, the show owes a lot to David E. Kelly because it has a lot of David E. Kelly ticks and structure.
Right.
And it's actually, the comedy is very David E. Kelly-ish.
Oh, 100%.
Again, if you watch, Boston Legal is about as funny as this show.
Yes.
Boston Legal was a comedy drama. Same with
the only difference is there's just a lot more law right?
Yeah.
But I feel like this episode gave me that, right?
Yeah, it had law. Like,
And it's funny. I wasn't, to be honest, I really wasn't expecting the amount of law I got in this one, even though it was a gorgeous mix of law and funny because the Asgardian elf.
yes.
Listen, I need more of that character or more of something. I just need more of that character. I need to see more.
I will not get past the Thor thing. Like, it was so good. It was like
it was
perfect. It was great.
It was, you know how perfect that was because we just saw Love and Thunder, right? And I think it was a theme again in Love and Thunder, only for them to be like, in the real world, okay.
It's just like it's also like it's just like making fun of like is kind of an absurd line. Asgard is a people, not a place.
It's a place, right? It's a people, it's not a place.
It's just like Thor inspirational speeches do not count.
No, they don't. They don't. And I think this episode, again, outside of making fun of like the MCU itself, it made that YouTube piece really was it for me. I was like, yes, you got me. Like, no, that one guy saying She-Hulk, you take the Hulk from us and you make it a woman. Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. I don't think it gets any better than that for me in this episode. Actually does make it sound, but
what do you want from what more do you want? Like, it's just a fun show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not Loki. This is not Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's not WandaVision. It's not Moon Knight. It's not even Miss Marvel. It's not it never claimed to be this like adventure fiction in the way in which
right. Like, funny, but this is the most un-MCU show of the MCU while still being MCU, if that makes sense.
I see where you're coming from. I would disagree. I would think in many ways like this is the most MCU because it requires like a decent amount of MCU knowledge. Like, you need to know some deep cuts. Like, Abomination until Shang-Chi, that man had not been mentioned.
Yes,
right. A brief thing in Avengers, and then briefly in the first season of Daredevil. Like, that's it. Like, you could have easily forgotten about Abomination. I did until they were like, "Oh yeah, Tim Roth's coming back." I'm like, "Oh shit, Tim Roth was in that movie."
Right.
Like, and then the Asgardian jokes. Like, this is trying to be like, you love all this stuff. Let's have fun with it. To me, this is like the most MCU in a way that, like, if you don't really love the MCU, like, of course you're not going to enjoy this. Right. But apparently the people who love the MCU the most don't like it.
Are the ones having a problem with it. I just think it's guys don't want to see women having fun. Crap, I just said that. Let me cancel that. Right? What was it? Scale of, okay. If you had to be a betting man, right? Do you think the Daredevil episodes are when people will be like, yes, this is what I wanted? Like,
no, I think people are gonna lose their mind. Good
lose their mind, and like, oh,
I think there's gonna be like
Kevin Feige.
I think anyone well intentioned is gonna love. Like, I don't like Charlie Cox is a great actor,
because in Spider-Man, my theater went berserk when he came in.
Yeah, okay. I think many people are like I'd say like 60 to 70% of the audience is going to be like, yes, we got Charlie back. He's in like 1 to 2 episodes. He's in both the suit and he's in both hot suits, the Daredevil one and Charlie Cox wearing a business suit. Like, it's like, yeah, that's what I want, right? And then that 30% is going to lose their mind because Matt's going to make a joke. It's going to be like a joke about Kingpin or a joke about Foggy or a joke about Bullseye or like something that they love from the Daredevil like TV show. And they're going to lose their mind. And they're going to be like, this is belittling the accomplishments of the greatest piece of superhero fiction ever.
Oh, you know what? Yes.
They're going to just lose it. Like,
you want to know why I 100% agree with you? Why I 100% agree with you is because it happened already. Kingpin.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Kingpin was just, but that was just
that was a taste.
That was the opening act of this.
Yes. Oh my god, it's gonna be crazy because the funny part about the Kingpin thing happening, right, was he would never wear that shirt. Why would Marvel ever put him in that costume? Oh my god, he got killed by a car. Da, 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 da.
You
It
get killed by
was
the car. You can bounce off the car.
right, but like,
I know, but
that's
they're like,
really
you shouldn't have bounced off the car. You should have died. It's like, oh my god.
wow.
Oh my God.
Wait a minute, are we on Netflix or on Disney Plus? Like, what do we want? This is also a Christmas show. My God,
It's
like, why are you
also
so doubting?
like the Kingpin is like a fun additional villain to this. Like it's like whatever. I liked the Kingpin in Hawkeye. Like I thought he was well used.
Do you
Like,
think
well,
Kingpin is the reason why Daredevil is in LA?
it could be like it could definitely could be. I mean, he's getting his own show and he's also appearing in Echo. So I'm sure they'll like
Where
give
is
you.
Echo gonna be? Where are they
It's
gonna
good.
set that?
I mean, I think there are reports that it's at least going to be partially set on a Native American reservation.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well,
because she leaves New York at the end, right?
Right.
So she may go back to New York. She may go to LA. But I think she is going to at least go to a reservation for a while where her people.
Okay.
I forget which indigenous group she's supposed to be part of. The character, I think that, but anyway, I think they'll give you some tease of what the next thing. They might even do a third wall thing. It's like see me and like Echo, and I've got to they could do something like that. I don't know, but
I really 100% want a fourth wall break from Charlie Cox. I think if that happens, everyone is gonna for better or worse, that might break the MCU.
I'm really excited for Daredevil showing up. One, it's the perfect person to guest star on the She-Hulk show.
Right.
They're both lawyers.
Right.
I love Charlie Cox. All right. I love Daredevil. And I think it's going to just anger. And the Marvel sub fandom that I think the biggest idiots are the insane Daredevil TV show fanboys who are like, this is Mad Men for superheroes or Breaking Bad for superheroes. And I'm like, did we watch the same show? I love the Daredevil TV show.
Because that third season, I'm not gonna lie to you, the second half of the second season and the entire third season for me. Listen, Daredevil first season, and then they kept doing that hallway fight in every season, different
just cranking
ways.
It up.
I
didn't like the prison one in the third. That's in the third.
No, the prison one was, that was the third season. The prison one was over the top. He should have died.
Whoa, Mo. No, it was very realistic. What are you trying to compare this to the Kingpin fighting some girl? Kate, come on. What are you doing, Mo? What are you doing? What are you doing here?
Sorry.
All right. Are you saying that? Are you possibly saying in real art, the Daredevil Netflix show, that it'd be unrealistic and it'd be that he should have died in that sequence?
No, I think the entire.
What was the one in the second season? What was the big?
The second season was the biker. Was it? It was a stairway. It was a stairwell fight.
Oh wait, is that where he starts on the roof and fights his way down?
All the way down. All the
okay.
They just kept getting the first and I think it's okay, so how can we make that better? We're gonna do it again, but we're gonna do it stairs. We're gonna make this. We're gonna do it in prison with the worst of the worst. Come on now. Fighting 6 people in a hallway versus fighting a biker gang and then fighting a whole entire prison block.
Well, in many ways, sometimes Daredevil felt like watching a Chris Nolan movie where it's just I want to see if I can do this and I'm going to get a company to pay me to do it. In the beginning of Dark Knight Rises, that whole, why are they on a plane? Who knows? But Chris Nolan got Warner Brothers to pay for him to do that. Lots of Inception feels like, why are they doing this? Oh, Chris Nolan just wants to do it. It's just I want to see. Wouldn't that be cool?
Netflix was paying for a lot of that, man. Now they're broke, and somehow they have money to pay. You know what? Back to She-Hulk, because I was about to talk about He Who Must Not Be Named. Anyways, so Betting Man, we're looking at, what's your number?
What are we at, episode 3?
No, on how much they on the Daredevil discourse. I'm already done with the episode, but
Daredevil discourse. Okay. I think that Daredevil is gonna lose it. I think it's gonna break it.
Do you think this is where the MCU fandom breaks?
I do. I actually think that this could be it that does it, because I think it sits at an intersection of like literally, because the show is so the MCU show, it sits at the intersection of like all of the toxic discourses at the MCU.
It kind of does.
Feminism, Daredevil, CG,
Oh my god.
Hulk discourse, which I always forget. Like Hulk's easy to
It's
forget
a
about because he hasn't
thing.
been in a movie. Is a
Right.
thing.
It's a thing, right?
And
Wow. I didn't even think of it. This really does have all of the discourse of like in one soup, one discourse soup. The feminism thing, yes, right? Which they kind of addressed them in the first two. Like it was a thing in the first episode when she made that line, right?
oh man,
Maybe
oh
may have
yeah,
been a little over the top, but it was still a line in the show and it was relevant. And then don't let us talk about the twerking. How
Twerking, yeah.
dare she, right? And now you're
Mhm.
gonna have Daredevil, which is like the mecca of like superhero TV shows, right? Untouchable. Yes. Yes. Don't let Charlie Cox make a joke, right? Don't let him make a joke.
No, don't let him make a joke. He's got to be gruff. He's got, you know what? They'll have She-Hulk. What we need. This is what needs to happen. She-Hulk's doing a lawyer sequence, and then there's
Right.
just an elaborate Daredevil fight going on in the background, all as one take. If that happens, then we'll heal. We'll heal the MCU fans. Like,
But if he stops mid-fight to break the fourth wall, yep, that's
yeah,
it.
he makes one of those Marvel one-liners. Like,
Oh man, let them accidentally make him Tom Holland for a quick second. It's over. Fandom's broken.
What I think is good. This is my true prediction about MCU discourse. Is this is gonna like the She-Hulk is already cracking. Like this year has been the hammer on the MCU. Madness put a night like the cracks got obvious.
Right. I still think Eternal started it, but you know,
Eternal started it, but Madness put a crack.
Definitely.
And then Miss Marvel not as good as you want it to be. Moon Knight not as good as you want it to be. It's more cracks, and then Love and Thunder took a hammer to it. It's crack. Like you can see the crack. It's like one of those things. Like you have. It's like this fine crack I have in my phone. You put too much pressure on, it's gonna break. And this show's just gonna crack it, and you're just gonna have a visible crack. Like you're just like it's cracked. And then we're gonna have. It's like oh man. And then Black Panther. God, the one thing the show doesn't have so far is race. All right.
Yes,
it's missing race.
It's still a white. It's still a white protagonist.
It's still a white protagonist.
Yeah. Right.
There's some Latinx supporting characters. And there's some Asian supporting characters. But
God forbid.
But we're gonna get like Wakanda, no Chadwick like discourse is just gonna. So we're gonna just huge crack and then.
And then Namor, the MCU is done by the fall. Oh my god,
2022.
MCU is gonna fail in 2024. In 2022, you heard it here first, and it's all thanks to She-Hulk. It's the biggest crack. It's from She-Hulk, and then Wakanda is just gonna lightly tap it. Like in all the cartoons, right? When the Roadrunner draws, and it's a crack, and it's just a light tap from the coyote, and everything falls. That's exactly what's gonna happen. But no, thank you so much for doing this was fun. This was just as fun as the episode. I enjoyed it. I mean, if you can't tell we enjoyed the episode, dang, I don't know what to tell you, but we clearly enjoyed the episode. Again, I'm not gonna go. It's not the best thing I've seen on TV, but it's fun.
Yeah, I give it a 7.5.
Right. It's the most fun thing we've seen on TV in the last couple of months because everything has been really serious and fucking pretentious, but it's kind of fun. It's a fun episode. I hope this is a tone moving forward. I feel like it is a tone moving forward. This was the episode. If this was the premiere, would the discourse be a lot better?
No,
it'd still be where it is.
I mean, it has the thing is in many ways picking Megan Thee Stallion as your like celebrity guest star is also giving a middle finger to the kinds of people who are already going to hate this show.
Right.
Like
It is.
It is the people
They already don't like her for some reason. But
the kind of people who hate this are the people who watch Ben Shapiro read the lyrics of WAP. Like
I wish I started the episode with that. I need to find that. He literally with the straightest face. I feel like we had a conversation about this.
we did. I don't know if it was on air though.
I don't think it was. I think we were talking about something and it came up for some reason. It was about She-Hulk because I was talking about how he does have a
She-Hulk video.
A She-Hulk video.
I'm sure we got one about this one too.
Oh, of course. He's talking like, no, listen, I'm sorry.
Because here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about all these right-wing cranks is once they stick their algorithm toe into the Marvel MCU cesspool, they don't go back.
Mm-hmm. No,
you become a full Marvel hating account because the hits kept on coming in. The algorithm loves it. So,
man, listen. No, this was a fun show. I liked it. Thank you again, Roy. I can't wait to do this next week.
I can't wait there.
No, we still have this weekend. We're here, man. We're
here. I'm excited.
I am. It's gonna be heavy. It's probably gonna be heavy, but hopefully it's a little. It starts off light before it goes into the heavy things. Because Tolkien, it's gonna get into his religious shit later, right?
Maybe. I mean, we don't. I truly don't know. Like
over under, is it gonna be religious?
Explicitly religious, or just like by implication? Because the movies were not religious.
No, they which is very surprising because his stuff is.
Yes, but it is like it is.
It's not
like Lewis. Face. It's not C.S. Lewis.
No, it's not. It's thank God.
It's a. I mean, Tolkien was too clever by half,
right?
But for that, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we're talking power, well, let's save this for
we will
Friday because. Right. Although I do like we're going to be talking about some similar themes to people's reactions to She-Hulk, to the power.
Exactly. Oh my goodness! It has a female protagonist, race bending.
Oh,
I can't. You know what? Let's save all of that for then. Thank you very much, Roy. Don't forget to
make sure you say it.
Don't forget
to smash that.
Smash the subscribe. Oh my God! I need the Tinder profile to be on a loop. Okay, Oh, we'll catch you next week for more She-Hulk. Peace.
You almost tasted that. Num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest. You ain't never gotta heat me up.
You are way more fun than my last lawyer.
I will kill for you.